my number one is a movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once, directed by the Daniels, starring Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Hsu, Ki Hui Kwan, and Jamie Lee Curtis. Logline: an aging Chinese immigrant is swept up in an insane adventure in which she alone can save the world by exploring other universes, connecting with the life she could have led. So, yeah, we're just talking about the metaverse and the multiverse and what have you, the debunking of it. But I think to me, this movie sort of represents our times. It's funny that these are our number one movies because I think this movie also meets us where we are at, but kind of looks ahead in an interesting way where we're bombarded constantly by information and all sorts of things, polar opposite media clickbait things that are distracting us from what actually matters. And I think what this movie underlines is that what really matters is love and kindness. That's the only thing that can get us through any of this, which is listening and appreciating our differences, but then finding the common and moving forward. And you see that in the mother-daughter relationship in this movie. You see that individually for the daughter herself, who is sort of the poster child of, how you can become a victim in a very heightened way, obviously, of all that's sort of happening. So, and on top of that, like, the whole multiverse concept, like, I know people love superhero movies, and I feel like I've exposed myself already that I'm not a super fan of any of that. But I think the concept of the metaverse and the multiverse, I think this movie handles it so perfectly and beautifully that it's fun, but it's also very poignant, and it's just used in the right way as a storytelling device, which I think is important. So nothing that I'm saying is new. This movie obviously is a very buzzy movie, and it's amazing for like a small movie like this to become such a big top grosser and have a whole bunch of Oscar buzz and great performances. It's so great to see people like Michelle Yeoh and Ki Hui Kwan and really the whole cast kind of get their due. People who've been at it for so long. What a great showcase for them. But also, we talk a lot about representation, which I'm all for, of course, but often it's handled in a very schlocky or icky or obvious kind of way. To me, this is the best way of doing it, which is this is just who these people are, and that's what makes these movies universal. It's not preachy or messagey in any kind of way, other than just a message of kindness, which also is not, handed or laid on you. You just feel that throughout the movie.
Right.
So yeah, I think this movie really represents the year that I've had. And I think the POV that I'm developing, kind of to pick up on what you were saying of kind of optimism, is I don't want to take things on face value. I want to have my glasses on, but I want to approach everything with nuance and kindness. I don't want to shoot people down. I don't want to just put people in a box, because people are multi-layered. They are complicated. And what you might be seeing as a, wrongfully act out moment for somebody, it may be driven by something else, which we have no information about. I'm not my best self on certain days. So I don't know. I this has sort of become my motto really this year, looking ahead. And it was interesting for this movie to come at this time, kind of galvanize that feeling and that point of view that I've been having this whole year. So this is why this movie is my number one movie. And then just to end, this was probably one of the best theater going experiences that I've had in my life. Like how ridiculous and strange this movie is. Everybody was just losing it because the shock value, but then being met with this emotional storyline, the message of it, all of it. People just had such a great time. And again, a movie that doesn't have, obvious IP or any IP or obvious stars. I mean, Michelle Yeoh is a star, but not in a Tom Cruise kind of way.
Right.
So for this movie to have that kind of resonance and, everybody feeling united in this experience, once again, the power of movies that you were talking about, I love that we have these two movies that couldn't be more different, you know,
Mm-hmm.
big block. They both have done very well, but they're so different from each other, which to me gives just a lot of hope for the future of movies that
Mm-hmm.
and I know you certainly care about. And the industry is obviously in a precarious situation right now. So
Oh yeah.
I'm very glad that, you know, this and Top Gun Maverick exist today and are both going to be, unless something totally goes wrong, are going to be nominated for sure,
Mm-hmm.
if not
Mm-hmm.
win. So yeah, that's my number one, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, this film I think definitely really captures a lot of different things of the culture and the mood of this year for sure. I mean, I think the big theme that you hit upon that this movie tackles is that of just nihilism, right? Like
Yeah.
the daughter character and the whole, driving force of the narrative is she is just a nihilist now. She's like, oh, nothing matters. I think there's a line in the movie like, oh, we're all just small and stupid. Who cares? Like, why does
Right.
any of this matter? Which is something that on the internet, called getting black pilled. Like you just think nothing matters. And I think there's
Right.
a lot of people that do believe that. I mean, the world is, you could say going to hell in a handbasket. Every sense things have been getting worse and worse over time. So it's easy to fall into that trap, I think, of getting black pilled and being nihilist and, what the daughter character goes through in this film and that transformation. That's a very easy thing to fall into. But what this film does is mention the antidote to that, which is love and connections and human relationships. And that is what matters. I mean, yeah, it is nothing matters, but then everything matters. And the only thing that really does matter is the people that you surround yourself with and the power of love and kindness, that's what defeats the villain in this film. And I think that is a message of this year too, like people, trying to come out of COVID, you don't want to it's very, again, easy to say everything's terrible, so who cares? But no, like latch on, find the love, find the people that you want to be with, realize that that's what's important. The film does deal with multiple dimensions, and there's one where the short round, I can't remember his name now, sorry, from Ki Hai
Ke Huy Quan.
Kwan, yeah, short round from Temple of Doom,
Right.
where he's really successful and in this universe, but he's not married to Michelle Yeoh, and he has this line about, "Oh, I'd be happy if we just sort of was doing taxes and running a laundromat," which is what they
Yeah.
were doing in the universe that the film starts in, and you just feel like, oh, this guy, all that he really wants is just to be with someone that he loves in Michelle Yeoh, and that even though he's more successful in this other universe, that's not as important to him. And I think those are all great, great themes and messages that it's important to remind yourself of, especially in 2022. I mean, I think too, like the absurdness of this film also is something that's really in right now with especially the young kids. Like there's a bunch of articles I've read over the last couple of months that the Dada art movement, which is really popular in the 19 teens and 20s, just absurdist art. And that movement came out of the horrors of World War I, and people really realizing like, oh, nothing matters, so let's just be ridiculous and absurd. And if you look at what the Gen Z young kids are putting on TikTok, so much of that stuff is just absurdist humor. They've passed the point that of satire or which is what our generation I think was a lot of glib sort of humor. They're way beyond that. It's just complete absurdity, which is again what this movie captures, that Dada art movement thing. So yeah, I think a lot of the themes sums up 2022 really well. And to your point too about just the movie industry, this is another, it shows the diversity that needs to exist. And I don't mean diversity in a what people look like, just the diversity of storytelling and different types of films. That this movie can make $100 million and Top Gun can make $1 billion, and they're both adored by audiences. I mean, all that being said, I will then say that I did not see this movie until this podcast. I missed it in theaters. I was wanting to see it, and I didn't like it. I did not take to it at all. I thought that it was too long, too absurd for the point of being absurd. The acting was fine. I think, again, Short Round did a fantastic job. And Michelle Yeoh, who's one of my favorite actresses, also just great seeing her in a star, kind of a big lead performance. But yeah, the movie I thought didn't connect with me in terms of what it was trying to do as a film. I loved all the messages and I saw what it was doing. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't really work for me at all. I did not really enjoy the film. And actually, the two things that it did, which is talk a lot about nihilism and then use the multiverse as an approach to doing those things. I felt that two cartoon shows the last 10 years did that much better in both of those avenues. So I think the BoJack Horseman show on Netflix is one of the most amazing works of art in the past 20 years. Like, I cannot praise that thing enough. And that the themes that this movie tackled around nihilism and kindness is the king is all that show's about. And that show does it, a billion times better than what this movie tries to do. And then on the multiverse thing too, Rick and Morty, which is a show I love, comedy show, is all about the multiverse. And I thought they were much more interesting and unique in the different ways that it uses the multiverse to tell some of these same things and what this movie did. So I don't know. I felt like the movie, maybe because I'd seen both of those things, or really Rick and Morty, and, seen a lot more. I mean, multiverse is something, that concept that I've been reading about in comics for 20 years. So it's not anything new or unique to me. And maybe the mainstream audience is like, ooh, this is something different. And for me, I was like, oh, this is same old, just not done as well. So yeah, I'm in the minority of people that just did not enjoy this film. I'd actually enjoy. I didn't think it was very good. And again, just definitely 20-30 minutes too long. Like I was like, okay, I get the point. Like, just end this already. But all that being said, again, like I said in this episode too, like, you could still love a politics of the film or what it's trying to say and not love the movie. This is an example for me. Like, I love everything it stands for. I'm glad it connected with audiences. I think it's saying a lot of really important things. And I'm happy that it did really well for the sake of the industry, but I'd never watch it again. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. Maybe it could be tightened up a little bit. But yeah, that's interesting to hear. The movie has gotten small criticism, for sure. I mean, not everybody is as high on it. So I get that. I will also say though that I think watching this movie on the big screen in the theater, is like a whole other experience. It's, I mean, I don't know, like, I can't imagine if I'd watched Top Gun Maverick at home. I would have probably enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have had that kind of like impact. And I think there's something about the shared experience of the absurdity of this movie that everybody can be shocked in, or confused in, or even look down on it, whatever that might be, makes it quite powerful. I watched snippets of it afterwards, just in preparation of this podcast, and it did feel different to me. So I don't know how much of your experience just has to do with
maybe
that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm always pro theatrical experiences. I think that is the, for most movies, is the way you got to see it. That's why I love going to the movies. But with that being said, I mean, I think the movie shouldn't have to rely on that alone.
True.
To be good. But yeah, I'm glad I finally saw it. It was on my list for a long time. I missed it when it was in theaters, even though all the buzz was going on. I just didn't have time to go out and check it out. So yeah, maybe I would have connected with it differently had I seen it then. But yeah, very happy for the movie's success, and I wish it continued success. I don't consider myself one of the fans.
That's all good.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.